Hey there, it's Guy here. So I just want to talk a little bit about freedom and altered states. So of course there's certain freedoms that are restricted. Physical freedoms, we've got a conditional body. Political freedoms, we have to operate within certain laws and rules of society. And sometimes, we can be imprisoned, literally in prisons. And imprisoned by tyranny and loss of freedom of movement, of expression and connection with other people, often, as we all know, through lockdown scenario. But what I'm referring to here is the freedom, psychological freedom. Freedom to perceive, the freedom to see, the freedom of view. And this is fundamental and foundational to us in terms of discovering basic happiness and just everyday quality of living, is to feel this state of internal freedom. Now, the way it seems to work is using Freud as an example with his superego, is if we get conditioned enough from the outside, over time, we'll start to internalize that and start to condition ourselves. So the voice of our parents or religious teachers or teachers at school or society, drill in the messages over and over and over again through repetition of patterning. Over time, we absorb that, internalize it, and then they live inside our own head, our own voices. These kind of schizophrenic voices telling us what to do and how to be and how to behave. And this is an internal state of loss of freedom, because we have given over to the superego to become the internal judge and critic and controller of our behavior. But this we can liberate. We can be free psychologically of this own internal tyranny that we've inherited from the outside in. The first thing we need to identify this. Identify the fact that we have taken on these conditioned thoughts and behaviors and become our own internal police or prison warden, looking after and controlling our behavior. So deep down inside of us, altered states, I was just referring to at the beginning, altered states, everything is a state, everything, every emotion is a state, and different emotions, different states. Every experience produces a different state, sleep, waking, resting, all these things. So state simply means your way of experiencing the present moment. Now you can alter those states through breath work, going into the cold, psychedelics, love making, reading poetry, watching a good movie, enjoying the sunset, breathing in, breathing out, and expanding consciousness and energy. There are a million different ways to alter your state. And the fact that we can alter our state means we can constantly shift our perspective. And as our perspective shifts, so does our behavior, so does our energy, so does our quality of experience. We are not designed to be static in our psychology, in our behavior. Life is perpetually moving, creating, expressing itself. So just to say very clearly, we are constantly shifting states, or at least that's the opportunity and possibility. Now, what happens when we are repressed around these shifting of states? So we're told that meditation's a bit hippie, psychedelics are illegal, that sexuality should be restricted, that our creativity is some kind of pastime, hobby, and we shouldn't really entertain artistic freedoms. But you should stick in the state that supports the state, that supports the government. You should stick in the ordinary world, which is controllable from the outside in, where you're not going to misbehave or do anything stupid or crazy or creative or inventive or innovative. You're not going to apply your natural genius or talent. You're just going to remain in that state of control from the outside in, and ultimately as your superego internalizes it from the inside out as well. So that's not very preferable, because this state of suffering that we get into, the state of survival, the state of expectation, trying to fulfill everyone else's standards of behavior and how we should exist in society and in the world. So altered states, as I understand through my own experiencing, through meditation, psychedelics, lovemaking, walking in nature, and million different ways of altering states, give you that spaciousness inside you where you can start to touch and taste and reveal your own freedom. This is so hugely important to recover your own autonomy, your own capacity to shift your point of focus, which then shifts your consciousness and energy, which then gives you the freedom to behave and express and make choices the way that you want to in life. in the world, with people, with relationships in creation. So the shifting of states is like such a hugely important skill. It's quite hard to say that fast. The shifting of states. Anyway, I wish upon you greater freedom in your life, greater freedom, and you have the capacity to shift your psychological state in any given moment through a million different practices, ways of being, ways of seeing. And this internal liberation releases us from this superego, judge, critic, controller, and in place of this we find our creative autonomy. We find our powerful, potent being of possibility and potential. And to have this, him, her, sit in the center of your heart, in the center of your being, is such a different experience to having the critic or judge or can't do it or shouldn't do it inside your awareness. And we can be free of this internal dialogue. So we can replace the superego, the controlling prison officer, with an inner, liberated, conscious creator, creatress. And I wish this upon myself, upon you, upon all beings. Lots of love from me to you. Happy freedom, happy experimentation and shifting multiple states and enjoying that capacity of opening up more of your beautiful being that you are.